You know, for Sasuke, the worst part wasn't even the disaster itself, but the silence that comes after when the noise stops and he is out of danger. He's forced to just sit there in a room with his own thoughts, and dealing with that many thoughts seemed too hard, so he decided he just wouldn't participate in it. He looked at the option of healing, of actually sitting in that room and processing what happened, and rejected it entirely, picking a mission instead. We used to think Sasuke was the edgy rival character when we were kids. Watching him now, the cool factor dissolves. It's just sad. He plays the stoic soldier. Underneath, he's a traumatized kid running a very specific survival strategy. He converts grief into ambition because ambition feels safe, and in a way, turning into a weapon means not having to be a person anymore. For Sasuke, the Uchiha massacre was a massive trauma. It completely broke his brain, because his reality changed too fast. 1 minute he's walking home expecting dinner and a normal night. 10 minutes later, he's standing in a hallway full of bodies of the people he knew and loved the most. Seeing that much blood is bad enough, but the even bigger problem was the killer. You know, a random murderer makes the world feel scary. A big brother doing it breaks a heart. Itachi was the one who taught him shuriken and poked his forehead. When that guy killed his entire clan, including his family, he learned something pretty quickly that would define his character for almost all the Naruto saga. That trusting people would just get him killed. And Itachi forcing him to replay that night over and over just locked that lesson in. Sasuke's obsession with power makes perfect sense when we look at it as noise control. Grief is a slog. It makes a person want to sleep for a week. Hatred is useful though. It works like high-octane fuel, it's dirty energy, but it moves them forward. Sasuke basically dumps his entire personality for one goal, which is to kill Itachi. And it feels good, because it numbs the pain and simplifies his life. Friends, hobbies, none of that matters. The only thing that matters is if something gets him closer to his brother. Otherwise, he doesn't have time for it. And I can give you an example of it. In the Forest of Death, during the Chunin exams, he pushes himself until his bones crack. He ignores the pain of the curse mark, because the pain actually helps him focus on his goal. It grounds him. It's a way to avoid helplessness. Asking, "Why did this happen to me?" is a trap because there's no answer. Asking, "How do I get stronger?" is actionable. It gives him a sense of control over a life that feels chaotic. The problem is that he's still human. He couldn't delete his need for connection, no matter how hard he tried. Because of this, Team 7 is dangerous to Sasuke. They make him feel safe. And for him, safety is a trigger, because it reminds him of what he lost. On the bridge with Haku, Sasuke doesn't analyze the situation or calculate the risk. His body just moves on its own to shield Naruto. The Avenger mask slips for a moment, making him save his friend. And Sasuke doesn't necessarily see this as a good act on his part, because that was a signal of connection. And following this logic, the fight against Naruto on the hospital roof makes a whole bunch of sense. He sees Naruto getting stronger through connection, and that threatens Sasuke's entire worldview. If Naruto can be strong and still have friends, then Sasuke has been torturing himself for nothing. And he can't handle that possibility. What happens here is called confirmation bias, a psychological phenomenon where people selectively filter information to support their existing beliefs. He's actively ignoring any evidence that contradicts his belief that isolation equals strength. Running to Orochimaru was the only way to protect his delusion, closing his eyes to everything else, convinced that cutting ties was the only way to become strong. But really, he was just running away from the risk of getting hurt again. And then, he finds Itachi and kills him. He attained the goal of his life, and to make everything worse, he finds out Itachi was a martyr. He did it all to save Sasuke, in his eyes anyway. I'm not saying he was a saint or anything, but that's how Sasuke interpreted the situation. And this is where Sasuke's mind shatters. He didn't take that information and finally grieve. He's been running away from it for so long that now the pain hits even harder. Instead, he uses the same strategy, changing the target from Itachi to the Leaf Village, because they are the bad guys who made Itachi kill his entire clan and live a life of lies. He won't accept support from his friends because of that same avoidance behavior. Obviously, this is what's dragging him down into a cycle of misery. The peak of Manic Sasuke is the 5 Kage Summit arc. The logic in his head is conflicting because of everything he's going through. He's completely lost. He attacks the samurai, fights 5 world leaders at once, where obviously his odds were not so good to say the least. He tries to sacrifice Karin without blinking, laughing while bleeding from his eyes. just completely losing his grip. Real quick, if you're enjoying this video, please consider hitting subscribe. 98% of the people watching right now aren't subscribed yet. So if you want to see more character breakdowns like this, that's the best way to make it happen. So, back to Sasuke. His story only resolves when he loses. Lying in the mud at the Valley of the End, arm blown off, bleeding out next to his best friend. For years he relied on momentum to avoid his feelings. But now he physically can't move. That stillness forces him to face the connection he was running from. Naruto refuses to let him die alone, and since Sasuke has no energy left to fight it, he finally accepts it. He looks at the clouds and admits that trying to do it alone was stupid. So, after the war, he doesn't just snap back to normal. He spends years walking the earth, and it's just him trying to learn how to be a person again. He needs to see the world without the filter of hatred. And by the time we see him in Boruto, he finds a new role. He becomes the Shadow Hokage, working in the dark, so Naruto can stand in the light, protecting the village from the outside. He accepts connection. Now he has a family. He takes a student. He's still awkward. He's still emotionally distant sometimes. Because trauma doesn't just vanish, but he's present. He finally gets that strength comes from having something to protect. So if you liked this video, consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel for more videos like this. Thank you all for the support. And that's it for today.